The maid's daughter lived in a small, dusty neighborhood on the edge of the city. Her house was tiny, barely enough space for her mother and herself. They did not have much money, and every day was a struggle to make ends meet. Her mother worked long hours cleaning other people's houses, earning just enough to put food on the table. The young girl often helped her mother, carrying buckets of water, scrubbing floors, and making simple meals whenever she could. She was used to hard work, and she did it without complaining. Despite the difficulties, she always had a smile on her face. Life had taught her to be strong, but it had also made her kind. Every morning, she would wake up before sunrise. She would sweep the small courtyard in front of their house, make tea, and sometimes help her mother prepare breakfast for the few neighbors who came by to drop off laundry or buy small snacks. She never minded these extra chores. She believed that helping others, no matter how small the task, made the day brighter. It was during one of these early mornings that she first noticed the old man who lived a few houses down the street. He lived alone in a small, rundown house. The paint on the walls was peeling, and the garden had grown wild with weeds. People in the neighborhood often ignored him. Some thought he was grumpy. Others said he was too old to bother with. But the young girl saw something different. She noticed how he struggled to carry water from the well, how he moved slowly with a cane, and how lonely he seemed when he sat by the window, staring outside. Something in her heart told her that he needed help, and without thinking twice, she decided she would help him. Her first visit was simple. She knocked on the old wooden door, holding a small basket of bread and some vegetables she had saved from the market. He opened the door slowly, his eyes surprised to see a young girl standing there with a shy smile. "I brought some food," she said softly. "I thought you might need it." The old man blinked, clearly not used to anyone showing him kindness. "Why would a young girl like you care about an old man like me?" he asked. She smiled and shrugged. "Because it's the right thing to do. Everyone deserves help." He did not answer for a moment. Then, with a quiet nod, he invited her inside. She placed the food on the table and noticed how bare the house was. There were no pictures on the walls, no flowers in the windows, just an empty chair and a small, worn-out table. She realized then that his loneliness must be hard for him. From that day on, she started visiting him every morning. Sometimes she brought food, sometimes she helped clean the house, and sometimes she simply sat with him and listened to his stories. He would tell her about the life he had lived, the work he had done, and the mistakes he had made. At first, she listened quietly, not saying much, but slowly she began to ask questions. She learned about his childhood, about the city when it was smaller and simpler, and about the people he once knew. The stories were fascinating, and she felt honored to hear them. Her neighbors began to notice her visits. Some were curious, some were skeptical. "Why do you spend so much time with that old man?" they asked. "He is just an old man. You have your own life to live." But she would just smile and reply, "I like helping him. That's all." She never explained more than that. To her, helping him was natural. It was not about reward or recognition. It was about kindness. Days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months. The old man began to rely on her more and more. She would sweep the floor, fetch water, cook meals, and even help him with small tasks like reading letters or paying bills. He would try to pay her or give her gifts, but she always refused. "I don't need anything," she would say. "Seeing you smile is enough." One day the old man fell ill. He had trouble getting out of bed, and his cough worried her. She stayed by his side for hours, making sure he drank water, ate small meals, and rested as much as possible. She even skipped school one day just to sit with him, holding his hand and talking to him softly so he wouldn't feel scared. The old man was moved by her care. He had never known someone so young to be so selfless. In all his years, he had never experienced this kind of attention and warmth. Her life at home continued to be difficult. Her mother often scolded her for spending so much time away from the house or for being tired from helping the old man. But the young girl did not mind. She knew she was doing something important. Every time she helped him, she felt a sense of purpose she could not explain. She started waking up even earlier to complete her chores before visiting him. making sure nothing at home or at the old man's house was neglected. Neighbors began to whisper about her. Some admired her determination, while others questioned her motives. "She is too young to take on such responsibility," they said. "What if something happens to her?" But she did not let the doubts of others stop her. She was driven by a quiet determination to make a difference, even if it was small. One afternoon, as she helped the old man sweep his small courtyard, he looked at her with a smile that seemed almost shy. "You are very different from other children," he said. "Most would never take the time to care for someone like me." She laughed softly. "Maybe, but I don't see why I shouldn't help. We all need someone sometimes." He nodded thoughtfully. "You have a good heart. I hope life treats you kindly." The days passed and their bond grew stronger. She learned more about him and he learned more about her. He started to share memories of his youth, of the things he had achieved and the mistakes he had made. Sometimes he would talk about lost opportunities or people he had cared about who were no longer around. She listened carefully, offering comfort and understanding beyond her years. Her presence gave him strength, and her kindness became the highlight of his days. One morning, she arrived to find him sitting quietly by the window, looking troubled. She asked if he was feeling unwell, but he shook his head. "No, it's not that," he said. "I am just thinking about life, about what comes next." She sat beside him, taking his hand gently. "You don't have to face anything alone," she said. "I'm here." That day, she realized something important. Helping someone was not just about chores or food. It was about being there, about giving comfort and companionship when it was needed most. She felt proud of the bond they shared. It was something rare, something special that went beyond age or wealth or status. As weeks turned into months, the maid's daughter continued her routine without expecting anything in return. She never counted the days or hours she spent helping him. She simply did it because it felt right. And in return, she gained something far greater than she could have imagined. Respect, trust, and the knowledge that a single act of kindness could make a world of difference to someone's life. Little did she know, her selfless actions would soon draw attention beyond the small neighborhood. Her story, though quiet and unnoticed by most, was about to reach ears that would change her life forever. The simple acts of a young girl helping an old man would lead to an unexpected encounter with people she could never have imagined. People whose presence would transform her ordinary days into something extraordinary. For now, though, she continued her daily visits. She carried baskets of food, swept floors, and listened to stories. She did not seek fame or reward. She only knew that the old man needed her, and she was determined to be there for him, no matter what. Every smile she brought to his face, every day she spent by his side, became a testament to the power of kindness and the quiet strength of a young heart willing to care for someone in need. And so, her days rolled on, filled with small acts of love and compassion. She remained unaware that these very acts would soon bring her face to face with people from a world far beyond her own. People who would see in her something extraordinary, something rare, and something worth recognizing. But until that day came, she continued faithfully, humbly, and quietly. Simply a maid's daughter helping an old man every day, with a heart bigger than most could imagine. Every morning, the maid's daughter woke up to the soft light of dawn filtering through her small window. She stretched her arms and listened to the faint sounds of the neighborhood waking up, the distant barking of a dog, the calls of vendors starting their day, and the quiet hum of life around her. Even though her own life was full of hard work, she never felt tired when it came to helping the old man. Somehow, that small routine of visiting him made everything else in her life feel lighter, even if only for a little while. After breakfast, she would hurry through her household chores, making sure her mother had everything she needed. She swept the dusty floors, washed the dishes, and filled water pots from the nearby well. She never complained about the long hours or the heavy work. In fact, she found joy in these simple tasks. It was in these moments she reminded herself that life was about small efforts, the little things that sometimes go unnoticed but make a big difference to someone else. Once her chores were done, she would grab a basket and walk down the narrow streets toward the old man's house. Sometimes she would carry vegetables, bread, or fruit she had saved or bought with the few coins she earned by helping her mother. Other times, she would simply carry herself, knowing that her presence was enough to lift the old man's spirits. The walk itself was a small adventure. She would pass by children running to school, shopkeepers opening their stores, and neighbors exchanging greetings. Most people were too busy with their own lives to notice what she was doing, but that never mattered to her. She was focused only on the old man, on his comfort, and on the moments they shared together. When she arrived at his small, worn-out house, she would knock gently on the wooden door. The old man, who by now expected her arrival, would open the door with a smile. Sometimes he would lean on his cane. Sometimes he would sit by the window, waiting for her to bring light into his day. "Good morning," she would say softly, and he would reply with a nod or a quiet laugh. They didn't always need words. Their bond had grown strong enough that even silence felt full of warmth and understanding. Her days with him were never the same. Some mornings they would clean the house together. She would sweep the floors, dust the shelves, and arrange the few belongings he had with care. She always noticed the small things, the crooked picture frame, the loose handle on a drawer, the worn-out mat in front of the door. She fixed them as best she could, never thinking about the effort it took. To her, it was simple respect and love for someone who had been lonely for far too long. Other days she would cook small meals for him. Sometimes it was just rice and vegetables, sometimes bread and fruit, but every dish was prepared with care. She made sure he ate enough and drank water, reminding him gently to rest when he felt tired. Occasionally, he would try to offer her a small amount of money or some leftover treats, but she always refused. "I don't need this," she would say with a gentle smile. "I'm happy just helping you." Her sincerity touched him deeply, more than words could describe. The young girl also realized that the old man loved to talk. He would share stories from his youth, tales of the city when it was smaller and quieter, memories of people he had loved, and experiences he wished he could relive. She listened with patience, sometimes asking questions, sometimes simply nodding. She never interrupted him or hurried him along. She understood that he needed to feel heard, that his stories mattered, and that her presence made a difference in his life. Sometimes, she would take him outside, helping him sit in the small garden or on the steps in front of the house. They would watch the world go by, the children playing in the street, the old men chatting on benches, the birds flying overhead. The old man found peace in these moments, and the young girl found joy in seeing him smile. She felt a quiet sense of accomplishment, not because she wanted praise, but because she could see the happiness in his eyes. Her neighbors began to notice her visits more and more. Some would shake their heads, muttering, "Why does a young girl waste so much time with that old man? She has her own life to live." Others were curious and would ask her, "Why do you keep helping him every day?" She never gave a long explanation. She simply replied, "I like helping him. That's all." Her words were simple, but her actions spoke louder than any explanation ever could. One afternoon, while helping the old man tend to the small garden in his backyard, she noticed him looking unusually quiet. He seemed lost in thought, staring at the ground, and did not respond when she asked if he was feeling unwell. She knelt beside him and gently touched his hand. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. He sighed, his eyes distant. "I'm fine," he said, but she could tell he was troubled. She didn't push him to speak, but simply sat beside him, holding his hand, giving him the comfort of her presence. Over time, she began to notice small signs of his age more clearly. His hands trembled slightly when he held a cup. His back bent more than before, and he grew tired more quickly. These observations only strengthened her determination to help him. She learned to anticipate his needs, to prepare meals before he asked, to sweep the floors before he noticed the dust. She became attuned to his habits, his likes, his dislikes, and even the little ways he showed happiness. A smile, a nod, a soft laugh. The old man began to trust her completely. He confided in her things he had never told anyone else. Regrets, fears, memories of lost friends, and hopes for the future, even if he wasn't sure he would see it. She listened patiently, never judging, never offering advice unless he asked. Her quiet support became a source of strength for him. He realized that her presence was more valuable than any money or gift he could offer. She had given him something priceless: companionship, care, and understanding. One rainy morning, she arrived at his house to find the old man struggling to move. The wind and rain had made it difficult for him to get out of bed. She quickly helped him, carrying him to a chair near the window where he could stay dry and warm. She brought a hot meal, a blanket, and even a small lantern to brighten the room. Hours passed as she stayed with him, talking softly, keeping him company, and making sure he was comfortable. The old man was overwhelmed with gratitude. He had never experienced such selfless care before. Her routine was not without challenges. Sometimes she felt tired, sometimes she wanted to rest, and sometimes she had to balance her chores at home with her visits. But she never allowed herself to feel burdened. She found joy in helping someone who truly needed her. Her life, though difficult, had a purpose. She realized that small acts of kindness could make the biggest difference in someone's life. Over the months, their bond grew stronger. She learned to anticipate his moods and needs. He learned to trust her completely and began to see her not just as a helper, but as a friend, a companion, and almost like family. Neighbors slowly started noticing the change in both of them. Some were amazed that a young girl could be so dedicated, while others began to quietly respect her for her determination and kindness. One day, as they sat together in the small garden, the old man looked at her and said, "You have a very special heart. Most young people your age would never do what you do. You have brought light into my life." She smiled, her eyes shining. "I just wanted to help," she said softly. "I like being here with you. That's all." The old man shook his head with a quiet laugh. "No, it is much more than that. You have given me hope, happiness, and friendship. You have reminded me that there are still good people in the world. That is a rare gift." She felt a warmth in her heart, knowing that her small acts were making a difference. She realized that kindness was a language everyone could understand, no matter their age, wealth, or status. Helping him had become more than a routine. It had become a calling, a way of life, and a source of happiness she could never have imagined. Little did she know, her actions were about to attract attention from people far beyond her neighborhood. Her dedication, humility, and pure heart were qualities that could not remain unnoticed forever. But for now, she continued her days quietly, faithfully, and joyfully, helping the old man with unwavering devotion, carrying out her chores at home, and finding fulfillment in the small, meaningful moments they shared together. As the sun set and painted the sky with warm shades of orange and pink, she would walk back home, carrying a sense of quiet satisfaction. She had spent her day making a difference in someone's life, and that was enough for her. Each day built on the previous one, creating a bond that was strong, meaningful, and rare. And in that bond, both the maid's daughter and the old man found comfort, hope, and a sense of connection that neither had expected, but both cherished deeply. It was an ordinary morning when the maid's daughter prepared for her daily visit to the old man's house. She carried her usual basket with vegetables, bread, and some fresh fruit she had carefully picked from the market the day before. She had finished her chores at home quickly and was eager to see the old man, who had grown to mean so much to her. Little did she know, this day would be unlike any other, and her quiet routine was about to be interrupted by visitors from a world she had never imagined. When she arrived at his house, she noticed something unusual. The gate, which usually creaked softly when opened, was already ajar. She frowned, wondering who could be there so early. As she approached, she saw 5 men in crisp, neat uniforms standing quietly in the small courtyard. At first, she froze, unsure of what to do. They looked serious, disciplined, and carried themselves with authority. Behind them stood a man who seemed older, but there was something about his presence that made it clear he was someone important. He had an upright posture, sharp eyes, and a commanding air. The old man came out slowly, leaning on his cane, clearly surprised to see the unexpected visitors. The young girl instinctively stepped forward, placing her basket down and standing beside him. She had never seen such men before, and her heart pounded with a mixture of curiosity and nervousness. One of the men, who appeared to be the leader, stepped forward and spoke in a calm but firm voice. "Good morning. We apologize for arriving without notice, but we have come to speak with you." The old man looked at her with a quiet smile, as if to reassure her not to worry. "Do not be afraid, child," he said softly. "These men are friends. Just stay with me." She nodded and stayed close, trying to appear calm even though her mind raced with questions. The man in charge, whom she now understood was a general, motioned to his officers to stand behind him. "Sir," he said to the old man, "we have heard much about you and your life. We came to pay our respects and to understand more about your situation." The old man blinked in surprise, clearly not expecting this. He exchanged a brief glance with the young girl, who looked at him with quiet curiosity. The general turned his gaze toward her for the first time. He observed her quietly, noting the dirt on her hands from her chores, the way her clothes were simple but neatly arranged, and the calm, gentle expression on her face. He spoke again, addressing the old man. "We see that you are not alone. There is someone who visits you every day, someone who cares for you deeply. May we know her name?" The old man smiled, pride and affection shining in his eyes. "This is my dear friend," he said. "She comes every day to help me. She has been a blessing in my life." He looked at her and nodded. "You have seen her effort, General. She is a remarkable young girl." The general's eyes softened as he turned to her. "I am honored to meet you," he said. "We have heard that you have been helping this man day after day. Tell me, why do you do this?" The young girl hesitated for a moment, unsure how to answer someone of such authority. She looked at the old man, who gave her a reassuring nod. I just want to help him," she said softly. "He is alone, and he needs someone to care for him. I don't expect anything in return. I just like helping." Her words were simple, but the sincerity in her voice was unmistakable. The general nodded slowly, impressed by her honesty and humility. One of the officers stepped forward and asked, "You are very young. Most people your age would not take on such responsibility. How do you manage?" She shrugged gently, her eyes fixed on the old man. "I don't see it as a responsibility," she said. "It's just what I do. It makes him happy, and that is enough for me." The general's gaze lingered on her for a long moment. There was something about her that struck him deeply, her quiet strength, her unwavering dedication, and the purity of her intentions. He had met many people in his life, some wealthy, some powerful, some famous, but he had rarely seen someone so young with such selfless devotion. The old man spoke up, his voice filled with emotion. "She has been here every day, rain or shine. She has helped me cook, clean, and even just sit with me when I feel lonely. I cannot begin to explain how much her presence has meant to me. She is more than a helper. She is family to me." The general nodded, his expression serious but respectful. "We understand. And we are here because your story has reached us. It is rare to find someone with such a heart. We wanted to see for ourselves the young girl who has shown you such care and kindness." He turned to the young girl again. "Do you know how special your actions are? You have touched not only this man's life but ours as well. The world needs more people like you." She felt a mixture of shyness and pride. She had never thought of her actions as special. To her, it was just helping someone who needed it. She had never expected recognition, and now that she was being praised by men in uniform, she didn't quite know how to respond. She simply nodded, keeping her eyes humble and her posture modest. One of the officers, a younger man with a gentle expression, spoke next. "We can see that your kindness is genuine. It is rare to find someone who helps without expecting anything in return. You remind us that the simplest acts of love can make the biggest difference." She felt a warmth in her chest at these words. For years, she had worried that her efforts were unnoticed, that her hard work was invisible. Now she realized that what she had been doing mattered, and it mattered greatly. The general took a step closer to the old man and lowered his voice slightly. "Sir, may we ask about your past? You are clearly respected, and your life has left an impression on many. We came because we wanted to understand your experiences and the people you have influenced." The old man nodded slowly, realizing that these men were not here to judge but to learn. "I have lived a long life," he said. "I have seen good times and bad, success and failure. But what I have learned is that kindness is the most important thing one can offer. And this young girl has shown me that in abundance." The young girl listened quietly as the old man spoke. She had never thought of herself as someone who could influence the world. To her, she was just a helper, a friend, someone who tried to make life a little easier for another person. Now, hearing her actions described in such meaningful words, she felt a quiet sense of pride. The general glanced at his officers and nodded. "We are impressed. The world could use more people like her. She has taught us a lesson we will not forget." One of the officers stepped forward and offered a small notebook. "We would like to document this story, with your permission. We believe it is worth sharing, so that others may be inspired by your selflessness." The young girl looked at the old man, who nodded encouragingly. She took the notebook and smiled softly. "If it helps someone else, then yes," she said. "I am happy to share." The general smiled. "Thank you. Your story will inspire many. Your heart is rare, and it deserves to be recognized." For the next hour, they all spoke together. The officers asked gentle questions, wanting to understand her motivations, her daily routines, and her thoughts on helping others. The young girl answered honestly, without exaggeration or pride. She spoke about the joy of seeing the old man smile, the satisfaction of completing small chores for him, and the simple happiness that came from companionship. The old man watched her with quiet admiration. He had never seen anyone so young carry so much responsibility with such grace. He realized that her actions were not only helping him, but were also shaping her character in ways that would guide her entire life. The general and his officers, too, were impressed. They had come with curiosity, expecting perhaps to see a small act of kindness, but what they witnessed was something far greater. A young girl whose heart and soul shone brighter than any title, uniform, or rank could ever achieve. As the morning wore on, the general finally spoke again. "We must leave soon, but we will not forget this encounter. Your dedication, humility, and kindness are extraordinary. You have reminded us that even in a world filled with challenges, there are those who still act with pure hearts." He turned to the old man. "Sir, thank you for allowing us to witness this. It is a privilege we will always remember." The young girl felt a mixture of emotions, shyness, pride, and a deep sense of fulfillment. She had never imagined that her simple daily visits could lead to such recognition. But more than anything, she felt a quiet satisfaction that her actions had made a difference not only in the old man's life, but also in the lives of those who had come to witness her. When the visitors finally departed, leaving the old man and the young girl alone again, the air felt lighter, almost as if the world had acknowledged the small acts of love they shared. The old man turned to her, his eyes shining with gratitude. "You see, child? Your kindness has reached far beyond what you imagined. You have shown not only me but others what true care means." She smiled softly, her cheeks warm. "I just did what I thought was right," she said. "I never imagined it would mean so much." He took her hand gently and squeezed it. "It means more than you know. Never forget that your heart has the power to change lives. And today, you have proven that beyond doubt." The young girl nodded, feeling a quiet strength within her. She realized that helping others was never just about the immediate task. It was about the ripple effect, the unseen impact of small, selfless acts. She had helped the old man, but in doing so, she had inspired others, touched lives, and reminded the world that true kindness is priceless. And so, the day ended, not with fanfare or celebration, but with the quiet knowledge that her simple actions had created a story worth remembering. A story that would continue to unfold in ways she could not yet imagine. The days after the visit of the general and his officers felt different for the maid's daughter, though everything around her remained the same. The narrow streets, the dusty courtyard, the small houses. All of it looked exactly as it had before. Yet, she sensed a subtle shift, a quiet change in the way she viewed her daily tasks. She continued to wake up before sunrise, help her mother, and make her way to the old man's house. But now there was a feeling in the air that something extraordinary was about to happen. The old man had become even more lively than before. Perhaps it was the excitement of meeting the general and his officers, or maybe it was simply the joy of having the young girl beside him every day. He greeted her warmly that morning, his eyes twinkling behind the thick lenses of his spectacles. "Come, child," he said. "Sit with me. There is something I wish to tell you." She placed her basket down and sat on the small stool beside him, curiosity written all over her face. For months, she had thought of him as an ordinary elderly man who needed help, unaware of his past or who he really was. But the old man had kept a secret, one he now felt it was time to share. "You have been by my side through so much," he began, his voice gentle but steady. "I have watched you grow, and I have seen your heart. You have no idea how rare your kindness is. But I think it is time you knew a little more about me." She listened attentively, her eyes wide with interest. She had never imagined that the old man had any story beyond what she had already heard. Yet there was a hint of seriousness in his tone that made her lean closer. "I was not always just a lonely old man," he said. "I once held responsibilities that affected many lives. I served my country in a capacity few people know. My work was important and at times dangerous. I have walked paths that were difficult, made decisions that carried heavy weight, and I have known both honor and regret. But through all of it, I remained committed to something that is often forgotten today: integrity and care for others." The young girl blinked in surprise. She had no idea he had lived such a remarkable life. She had always seen him as an old man in need of care, someone who shared stories of the past, but she never guessed those stories were only part of the truth. You were very important?" she asked softly. He nodded. "I suppose you could say that, but that is not why I am telling you this. I am telling you because I want you to understand what your actions have meant to me. You have helped me every day without knowing who I am or what I have done. And in doing so, you have shown a kind of purity and selflessness that is rare in this world." She shook her head slightly, still in disbelief. "I just wanted to help you," she said quietly. "I never thought about who you were. I only knew you needed someone." He smiled warmly. "And that is exactly why what you have done is extraordinary. Most people, if they knew my past or my position, would have been intimidated, scared, or even motivated by rewards. But you cared simply because it was right. That is something that cannot be taught. That is something only a good heart can do." Her cheeks flushed slightly at his words. She had never received such praise before, especially from someone she admired so much. I didn't think it was special," she whispered. He shook his head gently. "It is special, my dear, and it is time you understand why others have noticed. The general and his officers who visited recently, they were not just curious. They wanted to witness what is often overlooked: true kindness. They came because they had heard about your devotion, and they left deeply impressed. You may not know it, but your actions have already begun to inspire others." The young girl sat silently for a moment, trying to process everything. Her simple acts, which she had thought of as ordinary, were now recognized by people who held power and authority. It was overwhelming, yet it brought a quiet joy that filled her heart completely. The old man continued, "There is something more I must tell you. My past, as I said, involved responsibility and service. The people who came to see us, they are connected to that past. They respect me, and in coming here they also respect you. They see what you have done, how you have helped me, and they understand the rarity of your character. You are not just helping an old man. You are setting an example for everyone." Her eyes widened as she absorbed his words. She had never imagined that the simple actions of helping someone could carry so much weight. She had done what felt right, without expecting recognition, and yet her heart and courage were being acknowledged by those she had never even met. The old man reached into a small drawer and took out an envelope, handing it to her. "This is for you," he said. "It is a token, but more than that, it is a promise. A promise that your efforts will not go unnoticed, and that your heart will be rewarded in ways that matter." She opened the envelope carefully and found a letter inside, written in precise, careful handwriting. The letter was from the general, expressing admiration for her selflessness, explaining that her actions had set an example that should be shared widely, and offering support for her future, including education and opportunities that could change her life. Tears welled up in her eyes as she read the words. She had never expected such acknowledgement. She had never thought her efforts could reach so far. She looked up at the old man, her voice trembling slightly. I don't know what to say. I never thought this could happen. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You don't need to say anything. What matters is that you have shown the world, and especially me, that true kindness comes without expectation. And now, because of your heart, doors are opening that you never imagined. You have helped me, and in return, life is helping you. For the rest of the morning, they sat together, discussing the possibilities that lay ahead. The old man explained how he had connections, people who respected him, and how he could use his influence to provide her with opportunities for education, work, and growth. The young girl listened carefully, still in awe of how one simple act of devotion could ripple out into such meaningful consequences. It was during these moments that she began to understand the true depth of her impact. Her visits had not only brought comfort to the old man, but had also demonstrated her character to people of influence who valued integrity, humility, and selflessness. They had seen what she had done without her even knowing, and they were determined to help her in return, not out of obligation, but out of genuine respect and admiration. The old man paused and looked at her thoughtfully. Do you understand now why your kindness matters? It matters not just to me, but to everyone who sees it, to everyone who hears your story. You have shown that even small, quiet actions can create change, inspire others, and bring light where it is most needed. She nodded slowly, a quiet determination settling in her heart. I think I understand, but I still want to help even without recognition. That is what makes it feel right. He smiled warmly. And that is exactly why you are so remarkable. Recognition is a gift, but your heart would have done the same thing even without it. That is why you are rare and precious. And now, with opportunities opening before you, you can help even more, in ways you never imagined. Over the next few weeks, the young girl began to receive visits and messages from people who were connected to the general and his officers. They offered guidance, support, and even resources to help her pursue education and training that could transform her future. At first, she was hesitant, unsure if she deserved such attention. But the old man encouraged her, reminding her that she had earned this not through ambition or desire for recognition, but through the purity of her actions. Her daily visits to the old man continued, as did her dedication to helping him. But now, there was a quiet excitement in the air, a sense that her life was about to change in meaningful ways. She carried her chores and her responsibilities with the same care as before, but with the added knowledge that her heart had been noticed, appreciated, and valued by people who could truly make a difference in her life. One afternoon, as she helped the old man clean the small courtyard, he spoke again, his voice gentle but firm. Never forget, child, that the kindness you have shown is not just about helping someone in need. It is about the strength of your character, the honesty of your heart, and the courage to act without fear or expectation. These qualities will carry you far, far beyond what you can imagine. She paused, brushing the dust from her hands, and looked at him thoughtfully. I will remember, she said softly. I will continue to help, no matter what happens. He nodded, a proud smile lighting up his face. And that, my dear, is why you are destined for something greater. Your story has reached people who can guide you, who can offer support, and who can help you achieve more than you ever dreamed. But never forget the heart that brought you here. That heart is your greatest strength. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, the young girl felt a sense of peace and purpose she had never experienced before. She realized that her small, daily acts of kindness had created a path leading to a brighter future, not just for herself, but for everyone she touched along the way. And so, with renewed determination and the support of those who recognized her extraordinary heart, she continued her life, helping the old man, learning from him, and preparing for the changes that awaited her. She had discovered that true kindness could never be measured by reward or recognition. Yet when it came from a genuine heart, it had the power to transform lives in ways one could never imagine. The days that followed the revelation of the old man's past and the arrival of the general and his officers were filled with a quiet excitement for the maid's daughter. Life continued as usual on the surface. She woke up early, helped her mother, carried water, and tended to the chores that had always filled her days. But now, there was something different in her heart, a sense of purpose that made her steps lighter and her smile brighter. She knew that her small acts of kindness had been seen and appreciated, and that knowledge brought her a calm confidence she had never felt before. Her visits to the old man's house became moments not just of duty, but of reflection. She saw clearly how her actions had impacted his life, giving him companionship, comfort, and joy, and in return, he had shared wisdom, guidance, and encouragement that she could carry into her own future. She realized that helping someone was never just about the immediate task. It was about creating a connection, building trust, and lifting each other in quiet, meaningful ways. One morning, she arrived at the old man's house to find a small car parked outside. Curious, she walked closer, carrying her usual basket of vegetables and bread. From the car, the general and two officers stepped out, smiling warmly. The old man came to the gate to greet them, his face full of pride. "Good morning," he said to her. "It seems we have more visitors today." The young girl blinked in surprise. "More visitors?" she asked softly. "Yes," the old man said. "They have come to offer some help, opportunities that will make your life easier and brighter. They have seen your heart, and they want to support you in ways that matter." The general approached her first, his uniform neat and his expression kind. "Good morning," he said. "We have been thinking about how much you have done, how selflessly you have cared for the old man. It is rare to see someone so young with such a pure heart. We would like to help you with education and training, so that you can grow and achieve things beyond what you might imagine." She felt her heart skip a beat. Opportunities like this were far beyond her world. She had never dreamed of going to school beyond what she had already, let alone receiving training that could lead to a stable career. Her hands trembled slightly as she looked at the envelope in the general's hand, knowing it contained possibilities she could barely comprehend. The old man smiled at her, seeing her reaction. "Do not be afraid, child. You have earned this not because of ambition or desire, but because of the purity of your heart. Accept this gift, and continue to be the person you already are. Let it help you reach even higher." She nodded slowly, tears forming in her eyes. I don't know what to say," she whispered. "I never imagined something like this could happen." The general shook his head with a gentle smile. "You don't need to say anything. Let your actions speak for themselves as they already have. The world will notice, and life will reward the good-hearted. You are proof of that." Over the next few weeks, arrangements were made for her education and training. She began attending classes that taught not only practical skills, but also life lessons in leadership, responsibility, and compassion. The old man encouraged her every step of the way, reminding her that her heart was the most important tool she had, and that knowledge and opportunity would help her use it even more effectively. Her mother noticed the change in her as well. She watched her daughter work diligently, learn new things, and still find time to care for the old man. Pride filled her heart. Though their lives had been simple and difficult, she now saw that her daughter was stepping into a new world, one where her kindness and perseverance could open doors that had seemed impossible. The old man's health began to improve slightly with the young girl's ongoing care. He walked more confidently with the cane, smiled more often, and even joined her in light activities around the garden. The bond between them grew stronger every day, filled with laughter, quiet conversations, and shared memories. She learned from him, and he drew strength from her unwavering support. Their companionship was a testament to the power of love and selflessness, and everyone who saw them together could feel the warmth that radiated between them. One afternoon, the general returned with a larger group of officers, this time to discuss a long-term plan for her future. They spoke of scholarships, mentorship, and support that would help her continue her studies and eventually find work that matched her abilities and heart. The young girl listened carefully, realizing that the simple acts she had done out of love and compassion had created a chain of events that would transform her life. "You have shown us all that kindness and dedication are worth more than wealth or power," the general said. "Your actions have inspired us, and now we want to help you make the most of your abilities. You are capable of great things, and the world deserves to see what you can do." She smiled shyly, feeling a mixture of gratitude and humility. She had never sought recognition or reward, yet here it was, offered freely because of the goodness in her heart. I will do my best," she said softly. "I want to help others, just as I have helped him." The old man's eyes filled with pride. "And that is why you will succeed. You have learned that life is not about taking, but about giving. And when you give from the heart, the universe will give back in ways you cannot imagine." Months passed, and the young girl's life began to change in tangible ways. She continued her education, learning new skills and gaining knowledge that expanded her understanding of the world. She still visited the old man every day, ensuring he was comfortable and cared for, but now she also had the tools to make a bigger impact. Her days were filled with study, care, and small acts of kindness that touched the lives of everyone she met. The old man, proud of her growth, often reflected on how far she had come. "You have transformed not only your life but mine as well," he told her one evening. "When I was lonely and uncertain, you came into my life with nothing but your heart. You gave me hope, joy, and purpose, and in return you have gained the world." She smiled, sitting beside him in the fading sunlight. "I never thought I was doing anything extraordinary," she said. "I was just helping, but now I see. Maybe small acts really can make a big difference." He nodded. "Indeed, child. It is the quiet, selfless deeds that often have the most lasting impact. You have proven that one person's heart can change lives, inspire others, and create a ripple that reaches far beyond what we can see." The community began to notice the change as well. Neighbors who had once questioned her devotion now admired her deeply. They spoke of her humility, her perseverance, and the genuine care she showed to others. Some of them began to follow her example, helping their neighbors, caring for the elderly, and performing small acts of kindness that created a positive environment throughout the neighborhood. The maid's daughter had unknowingly sparked a movement of compassion and empathy, all through her consistent, humble actions. As the years went by, she continued to grow, learn, and care for others. The opportunities provided by the general and his officers opened doors she had never imagined. She pursued her studies, excelled in her training, and eventually found work that allowed her to help even more people. Yet, despite all these changes, she remained grounded in the values she had always held: kindness, humility, and selflessness. The old man, who had become a close friend and mentor, watched her with pride and joy. He knew that her life had transformed not because of luck or circumstance, but because of the goodness of her heart. He often reminded her, "Remember, it is not wealth or status that defines us. It is the love we give, the help we offer, and the lives we touch." Even as she achieved success and recognition, she never forgot her humble beginnings or the simple joy of helping someone in need. She continued to visit the old man daily, carrying groceries, cleaning his house, and sitting with him as they shared stories, laughter, and quiet companionship. Their bond remained strong, a symbol of the enduring power of kindness and human connection. One afternoon, the general returned to visit, this time with a small ceremony to honor her contributions. She was hesitant at first, feeling shy about public recognition, but the old man encouraged her. "You deserve this," he said, "not for pride, but so that others may learn from your heart." The ceremony was simple yet meaningful. The general spoke of her dedication, her humility, and the extraordinary impact of her daily acts of kindness. He emphasized that her story was not about wealth or power, but about the quiet strength of the human spirit. She accepted the recognition with a gentle smile, grateful not for the attention, but for the acknowledgement that her actions mattered. After the ceremony, She returned to her routine, carrying her basket and walking to the old man's house. She knew that life would continue with its challenges, but she also knew that her heart, her compassion, and her determination had created a foundation for a life filled with purpose and joy. She had learned that true success was not measured by fame or fortune, but by the lives touched, the love shared, and the kindness extended to others. And so, the maid's daughter who had once quietly assisted an old man every day became a beacon of hope, a symbol of selflessness, and a reminder that even the smallest acts of care could create ripples that changed the world. She continued to live with humility, love, and dedication, knowing that the heart that gives freely is the heart that truly grows, inspiring others for generations to come.